Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I'm going to be working on a vintage reel. This is an old timer, but a good one nonetheless. This is a Garcia. It's the Garcia Mitchell 204. It's about the same size as the 308, and well, Austin sent it in for some service. You can tell it hasn't been serviced in a while. There's some accumulated dirt and the like on the outer case, but overall the reel seems like it's working well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how to service this reel and how to keep it fishing for a long time to come. If you like these types of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, and if you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. That'll let you know when we're posting, and well, you can see if that's something you would like to watch. Alright, well, this is a freshwater reel from the 1960s, and we're going to start by taking that click off, the first part of that, and then we're going to remove the handle, which comes off by turning it opposite the direction that the reel cranks. So in this case, it's cranking counterclockwise. You take it off by removing it in a clockwise manner. We'll take that off, and then we're going to remove the spool. The spool has a tension adjuster up top here. We're going to take that knob off, and then we can remove the spool. Now the spool is, well, it's got a pressed in set of drag washer there. Mitchells were never known much for their drag systems, and this one, well, that's kind of stationary. You're not getting that out of there. I am going to use a little bit of penetrating oil quickly to wipe that down, try and get any of the old dirt and debris out of there. Oh, cotton swab here to clean that inner race. And I like to clean my pieces and parts as I remove them. That way I can just kind of reinstall them once I am done with all of that, and it, well, it just works out good for me. You may find that you like to clean them all later, and you like to just get involved in taking them apart first. That's your preference. There is no set scheme that one must come off before the other. You can work on the top end of the reel first if you like, and then you can work on the bottom end of the reel. It doesn't matter. You can reverse that. That's your choice. Okay, I've just cleaned up and used some rod and reel cleaner on that spool. When I take my pieces and parts off, they go into a parts tray. Got one more little button here I want to clean up. So these are freshwater reels. And the freshwater reels, well, they typically are going to use for bass and trout and the like. And of course, Mitchell was the one that made all of the inroads in the U.S. post-World War II in terms of really capturing the spinning reel market. As the GIs came back from the war, they had seen these reels in France, and well, a lot of them brought them home with them, or at least brought home the notion that they would like to have them. And then Garcia, which is a distribution company, they weren't a manufacturer, they made an agreement with Mitchell to be their distributor here in the U.S. Okay, and ultimately, interestingly enough, that's what led to Mitchell going bankrupt, was the problems that Garcia was having. All right, we're going to use that pad. I have a little rod and reel cleaner on a kitchen scrubby. I'll take care of the dirt there. Let's take that first look at what's inside this. It's a rather straightforward assembly. We have a crosswind block, a main gear that drives the rotor up top, and you can see it's just gummy. That grease has not been changed in quite some time. It's just chunked here. Kind of looks like the Jolly Rancher, if you will, that got melted. But we're going to take that apart. Notice when you take the reel apart, the orientation of the pieces and parts. This crosswind block is not symmetrical. It has a high end, which is where that pin is. And, well, when you turn it, you'll notice that that almost touches the top there. You want to make sure when you do this that you reinstall it the way it came out. For some reason that looks like it's wrong, but I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to just reverse that and take a quick look here. I will either demonstrate why you have to get it correctly, or we'll figure out that it wasn't done correctly. For some reason I'm just thinking that that belongs on the bottom, but well, you never know. So this is going to satisfy my curiosity. Yeah, can't go on the bottom. Okay, you can see that this will bottom out So it needs to go up top, and that's the problem that you would have with that. All right, mystery solved. See, you learn something all the time. One of the things I also learned, better take that pin that I took out there, get that into my parts tray before I knock it off the bench. Particularly when you're working on something like this that's very sticky. This is taffy-like consistency on that old dried grease. So you want to make sure that you kind of clean it up, get it out of the way, because a part laying on your table, well, that can stick to your glove, and the next thing you know. All right, that's done. Put that in there with the pin. Clean out your axle shaft. The axle shaft has a Teflon washer on the top of it. That's going to give some spacing and some grip to the spool. And then we can remove our rotor. Now Mitchell made a deep socket tool, has a screwdriver on it on both sides and a 12mm socket. That's so you can reach over the lip of the bowl on this. If you don't have that tool, don't rush out and buy it if you can even find it. Just use a deep socket from any socket set to remove this. This is your rotor. I poke through that little hole fast there. You have 2 shim washers that go on the top here. And then we have the inner hold fast. Just want to take them out before they fall out. And a good thing to do with these reels is to oil the 2 junction points for the bail, just to make sure that they set properly. This has a kind of an interesting pull-in approach here. You can see how this is your bail set, and as you open up your bail, it actually pulls it out towards the rail. When you come on this side, you're going to see this little ramp here, and this ramp is going to pull this in. In other words, it's going to come over here, and it'll pull it in and allow the bail to trip, like that. Okay, this one's fine. If your bail is working okay, you do not need to remove the bail trip assembly. I get a lot of reels that come in for, well, let's just say bail replacement, because, well, somebody took it apart and didn't take pictures and know how to put it back together again. You can solve those issues again. If it's working fine, you don't need to do anything. If it isn't working fine, then of course you want to take that apart, go find out what the issue is with whatever part it is, and move from there. This is in the off position. I'm going to put it into the on position so that I can clean the rest of it. All right, I want to clean the inside of the case first and bring it to the off position again. Then I want to use that little kitchen scrubby again. I'm using rod and reel cleaner. This is a pen rod and reel cleaner. It goes a long way, so only a little squirt or two is all you need. And then just bring it onto here. The kitchen scrubbies is just a minor type of abrasion to it. Safe for pots and pans, I guess, right? And on the reel side of it, you're not going to damage the finish on it, but it will help you to clean it up. Get rid of things like fish scales and film and the like. Okay, I think that's about as far as that's going to go. I'll take a paper towel and wipe off the excess. Case looks good. And here's why you don't want that anti-reverse dog engage. See how it goes like that? You're not going to be able to mesh in when you go to reinstall the main gear, mesh in with the click ratchet. So you'll trap it, and then, well, that just becomes problematic. So we're going to just take that and push that off to the side. We're going to take that pinion gear, which fell out, grab a little brush, pull through the teeth on that. Make sure that they're all clean. This reel does not have ball bearings, so make sure they're all clean, uniform, not chipped or cracked. Put some fishing wheel grease on that. Okay, we've greased that up. I've got the other parts here. You want to next grease up your main gear, which I kind of started a little bit of already. Get the grease in the teeth, on the face, and on the back. You have to put this in before you can put your pinion gear in. So bring that in, making sure that your anti-reverse dog is in the off position. Push that through. Then you can bring the pinion gear, which we've greased up, bring that in. And I'm noticing on here that we have a little washer. So that washer's got to come out in order to set this in properly. So you want to line the washer up with the inner part of the case. And just get it started like that. It needs to drop in here. That needs to go in first because you won't be able to put the pinion gear in with the washer on it. Bring your pinion gear over. On top of the pinion gear we had the big washer, the second washer, and we have our rotor. I've reset that cap there. That rotor has a defaced opening here, so find the flat side of your pinion gear, bring that in, make sure that your holdfast is seated into the groove in that rotor. Okay, start it by hand, that's always the best way to get that done. Tighten that down. Do a test to make sure that your bail is going to flip. Remember how we showed you that it will flip? Flips nice and easy. We can actually put the handle on at this point to hold everything else in place. You really don't want the main gear to slip at this point. And there's a lot of old grease that's dried on the handle shaft, so I'm going to take a moment here just to clean that off. And I'm using a 4O, that's 0000 steel wool, very fine polishing steel wool to get rid of that old grease. Okay. Reinstall your handle. That'll hold that main gear in place, and if you like you can even take a run right now, see how that's working. Next up then we want to make sure that our axle shaft is free of dirt and it doesn't have any sticking points on it. Start that there. Then you want to bring in the crosswind block. The only place the crosswind block needs grease is on the back side in the slot and on the face of it. And then we noted when we were taking this off that the pin side is up. We can bring this down now. I'm going to rotate this a little bit because it'll make it easier for me to see that hole that I have to put the pin through. On your parts tray and get the pin. Make sure that it sits flush. And we can get the case. Now there's a tag on the case that goes in a little hole right here underneath the rotor. Put that in first, bring it down, and you can start the screw. Tighten that up. There we go. I like to put the anti-reverse back on now. Let's bring our spool up top. Our adjuster button, and we'll give it a test. See how we did. One more thing, you can oil that little edge of the knob there on both sides. That's riding on a stud that you can unscrew and replace that handle knob should it shatter. Let's give it a try. Turns nice and free and easy. Make sure your bail turns, and that's it. That's how you service your Garcia Mitchell 204 vintage fishing reel. I hope you've enjoyed that. I want to take a moment here to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue. I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank everybody for making this channel what it is. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.